Let's make sure everything's working. Hopefully everything's working. Alright, we're up. Although the capture card's still pretty darn loud. And if I didn't have the mic as close as I do, it would be louder, so let's type. Let's take it down to there. Everything changes. Up. Okay. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay. Alright. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the live stream of Tea and Toast with Ghost. I am the host, Ghost. Let me get my quick, my pinned comment up, and then we will carry on. I actually have a subject I want to talk about today. My Discord pinging. Alright, there's the pinned comment. What are you doing? Oh, I turned off the wrong thing. Whoops. Alright, everybody. First things first, I need to apologize for what took so long. I had a special occasion today that I had to do. So I do apologize for that, but we're here and we're rearing to go. So if you're here, I appreciate it and I thank you for that.
Got a tip for another order supply pod that needs your delicate touch. Directed by my expertise, of course.
Kilo.
Ready for an easy score?
You lost me at easy, but won me back again with big money.
Good. Glitch was snooping through order logs and got a fix on more storage pods. We're in luck. They use the same security system you already know. Pushing you the coordinates for the first one. Call me when you get there so I know what we're working with.
Single shot. Knife lock. Alright then, it's a knife launcher. Alright, and do I get anything good? Oh, I actually got an epic. Last time I did this, I only got a rare. And I need my class, I need to find a class mod too. Is my mic back feeding? Or is it just too loud? Let's turn it down a little bit. Is that better? A little bit. What the hell's going on? But anyway, everybody, I said I had a topic today that I'd like to talk about. And it's about the video game movies. And, you know, people are going to be like, oh, Ghost, are you jumping on the hater bandwagon? And the answer to this question is no. I'm not jumping on the hater bandwagon. I'm jumping on how Hollywood fails to produce easy movies with content already ready.
And work fast because the clock's ticking. Punch the flip that switch.
Flip the switch.
Shoot the panel. Pull the lever. Melee the button.
Smack the button.
Press the button.
Press the
Pull
button.
the lever.
Pull the lever.
Press the button.
Press the button.
Melee the button.
Smack the button.
Press the button. Shoot the panel. Flip that switch.
Flip the switch.
Press the button.
Press the button.
Shoot the panel.
Shoot the panel.
Flip that switch.
Flip the switch.
Pull the lever.
Pull the lever.
Flip that switch.
Flip the switch.
Pull the lever.
Pull the lever. Oops.
Press the button.
Press the button.
Shoot the panel.
Shoot the panel.
Melee the button.
Smack the button.
Flip that switch.
Flip the switch.
Alright, that hall's not too bad. Help yourself. I already got my cut.
Is there anything of actual value or use? Great. One thing to sell. Now, I can hear a few people saying, well, Ghost, you're a big video gamer and all you're gonna do is hate on what Hollywood does. And the truth of that matter is that I don't hate on, to be precise. But I do believe fair criticism needs to exist. Now, let's take, for example, the Super Mario Brothers movie. You know, that movie was not loved at all. In fact, it was pretty much hated by a lot of people. Now, did I hate the movie? I mean, I thought it was cute in a weird way. I mean, the whole the weird dinosaur thing was definitely not my cup of tea. But considering that the game lore at the time wasn't extensive as it is, or had been hidden, or had been deceptive, because a lot of people, I mean, because you have to remember, in the original Metroid, not Super Metroid came out on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The original Metroid came out on the Nintendo Entertainment System. And there is a bit of a difference there. Well, actually, there's more than a bit of a difference there. But you get my point. But in that game, Samus Aran was said to be male, and it was literally in the game instructions. Samus Aran is a he. And then if you beat the game in enough time and Samus Aran took off the suit, holy crap, it was a woman, not a man.
Don't hate the player.
So we have to ascertain here that some of the original lore that most of us know about as of right now wasn't exactly forthright. So, you know, that was one issue that as an adult comes to mind here. Now, I thought the movie was a little cute. It's a little cute. Hella campy. But, you know, all things considered, it could have been a lot worse.
Must you damage my toy?
At least they tried to give some context to how Daisy and Peach and others kind of existed. I mean, take example with the Super Mario Galaxy here. Peach and Rosalina in that movie are sisters. But according to actual game lore, Nintendo's actually game lore sources, they're not related at all. So, you know, it's, you know, you gotta kind of pick and choose how things work here. And, you know, so do I think the movie could have been better? Yeah, it could have been a lot better. I'm not talking about Galaxy. Galaxy was great. But all the dislike that Super Mario movie gets, personally, I don't like how much dislike it gets, to be bluntly honest with everybody. But, you know, you can't change people's minds once they've made up their minds. So, yeah. So, the movie wasn't great. But, you know, it had its charm. to say the least. So, and, you know, making the Goombas these tall, you know, they did a lot of things wrong. They did a lot of things wrong, but they were trying to make something from something they didn't really understand, I guess you could
Looks
say.
like the Order misplaced another supply pod. Time to capitalize on their incompetence. Hmm?
What is this?
What? I didn't order anything. Press here.
Congratulations! You've purchased a Marcus Munitions Mercenary Day starter pack. Inside, you'll find everything you need to celebrate the triumph of capitalism over galactic government. For any concerns, contact, well, not me. I'll be doing a thing that might get me slightly killed. Now get into the spirit. Spend time with friends and loved ones. Hang some decorations. Give some gifts.
Poor Claptrap.
And no refunds. Well, that's it. Turn off the recorder, kid.
A gift exchange, huh? Might be kind of nice.
Huh. What the foxtrot?
Happy Mercenary Day. Want to help hand out some gifts?
Giving loot rather than taking it? This trend's custom. But why not?
Might be a little outside your wheelhouse, but nothing better than new experiences. See, holiday joy is exactly what the Outbounders need to distract them from everything. How about you take...
Oh, I don't disagree with him there.
some presents from this Mercenary Day starter pack I found and hand them out. Just grab the gifts and those decorative lights, would you?
But, you know, for all intents and purposes, the Super Mario Brother movie that was live action, it could have been a lot
be
worse.
moneyed strangers and try the cutting-edge trend that's mowing down the fade fields. Gambling! It's entertainment! Since the commander got taken down, I've been able to pick up new hobbies. Gambling! Have you tried this gambling stuff? It's great.
So,
Almost
you know,
fun.
it could have been worse.
Just insert money, get a power core,
A
toss
lot
it in the
worse.
board, and collect your well-earned
But overall, it could have... But overall, they wanted to do something, so...
prize. Drop that power core like its sales are
So you gotta give them props. So...
You win a snack.
I want a snack.
Surely you hunger for the thrill of that one power core ready to drop.
Ah!
Oops.
Tja! Tja!
So... Now, let's get to...
Just for you.
So after the Super Mario Brothers movie, to my knowledge, the next movie series they tried based off of games was Laura Croft featuring Angelina Jolie.
Ready to drop.
And they only ever made 2 movies. And, you know, the first one,
Back one power core, ready to drop.
you know, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't really, it was, I mean, it was more, you know, if I had to describe it, it was more, what?
This one's a lucky one. I can feel it.
I mean, it wasn't really game-centered because, you know, it didn't have any dinosaurs. But, you know, you did have Angelina Jolie being Laura Croft. Hold on, folks, give me a quick second.
Again? Again! Oh, this one's a lucky one. I can feel it. Special just for you. Don't back at it.
Alright, I had to clear up some confusion there. But, you know, in the Lara Croft video games,
Enjoy this prize of
you know, there were dinosaurs and some couple of other stuff.
your power core as requested.
And, you know, did they get the whole relic rating bit right? Yeah, finding relics and fighting sinister organizations. Yeah, they got all that. And that, to a degree, has been in some of the games. So I'm not saying that part's incorrect, but the thing that I am saying is incorrect was that, you know, a lot of the things that you saw when you play Tomb Raider, it wasn't there.
A big win for the big hero.
So, you know, it could have been better. Certain things could have been better. But you know, overall the movies were okay, and then they kind of botched it with the second one with the romance interest. Because to my knowledge, in a lot of Lara Croft's games, there was never really a love interest for Croft. So, you know, they kind of botched it up. And then saying that Pandora's box was in Africa when that really wouldn't have been the case. Because you have to remember that the origin of Pandora and Pandora's box is in Greece. Ancient Greece. So, I mean, I get it. The cradle of life is Africa for humanity as a species. That's true. But
Happy Merc Day! Thought you might dig a new ride.
A nice vehicle. I will do my best not to get blood on it. My
so,
best
you know, did elements of the movie make sense? Yes.
Great. I'll send you the coordinates of a few outbounders who could use a pick-me-up.
But
Anyway, what you waiting for? Light up some faces. Let's spread some cheer.
you have to remember, was the movie true to the game lore, some of the game lore? Yeah. but they went and made their own way with it, which is fine. But if you're a person who likes playing the Lara Croft games,
Especially him. Mentions you
do you go to the movie to just stare at Angelina Jolie?
Oh, wow. Just remember there's some ship wreckage calling my name.
I mean, I imagine there were some guys who did do
What
that.
have you missed about me? My sparkling eyes? My winning
And seeing as that I had played a couple of the Tomb Raider games
Anyways, we made some real progress toward launching off Kairos.
and found them very difficult, I was actually looking forward to a really hardcore action movie where, you know, multiple gunfights, fighting ancient creatures, fighting even some mystical creatures. And sadly, we didn't really get that. I mean, was it definitely an interesting play on the games? But universally, the gamers didn't like it. I mean, yeah, sure, Lara Croft is supposed to be this rather dashing English woman. And she's famous for dual wielding those pistols. What is this? A world event. Alright. I've never done this
You've seen the
before.
order airships in the sky? Even if you haven't, I'm thinking we give them a nice interior remodel. Scouted the area.
Let's see. Sharpshooter. Brute. Or survival. Runner. Alright, let's do that.
The resupply outpost is our best shot at doing just that. You got this. Right. Now, you should be able to use the airship's
Alright,
tractor beam to get inside while it's
get up.
refueling. After that, the fun begins. Probably won't have enough time to take down the whole ship, but destroy whatever those Vault Hunter eyes see. Order soldiers, order weapons, order...
Destroy order
other
value.
stuff. The more damage you do, the bigger the reward.
So, you know, the question we find ourselves asking is, you know, why did all of the early video game movies just fail?
Preparing self-defense incineration. Purging systems activating.
And, you know, the sad truth here is that the people who were in charge of these movies,
Incineration commencing in 10, 9,
you know, they weren't,
7, 6, 5, 4, 3.
you know, they weren't being true to the games. And what the heck? Why did I just get kicked?
Luckily, learning from mistakes.
Oh, I guess the
is in my
ship took
design.
off. Oh. Okay, so then where's the next ship? Is it... Then where's the next ship? No. Okay, I'm confused then. Where's... Okay, so if there's a world event here... I guess I wait for the next airship. Never actually got a chance to do this before. Ooh la la. Oh, it is a knife launcher, so... So, you know, we sit here and say, well, if you're a fan of the original game lore and what the game lore tells us, you know, a lot of these games, made games, well, movies based from games, you know, they're not capturing the original spirit of the games. I mean, it's almost the same comparison when you make an anime movie, when you make movies from anime, and, you know, you get a bunch of just... Well, the anime did this, the anime did that, and, you know, if you're making an hour-and-a-half movie, you know, you've got to cut some things out. Which is acceptable as long as you get, you know, the, you know, critical, important stuff. You know, just as an example for, you know, Ghost in the Shell, you know, what was one of the really big things that they needed to do for that movie? Well, if you've ever seen the anime, you know that the... This ship, it's overrun by creeps. Am I supposed to be shooting the creeps? Yep, I'm supposed to be getting rid of the creeps. That's interesting.
Preparing self-defense incineration.
Perfect weapon. Great mistake.
So, you know, it's so, you know, the question. So we have to sit here and be like, okay, well, if that's so bad, then what about the Resident Evil movies that were made? And I hate to break it to the people who like those movies.
Commencing in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6,
Jump.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And there was a treasury on that ship. How nice.
Better to risk it all than become you.
And you know, they say that the Resident Evil movies were successful, and you know, they were successful with the people who didn't know any of the game story. And you know, I get it. I mean, there were those who were saying that Miley Jovovich, the woman who played the clones of Alice, carried the movie. And, you know, the thing that's actually sad was that in a real big way, she did, because it was designed that way. Now, what do I mean by it was designed that way? I literally mean here that the movies were designed to make Miley Jovovich's Alice, you know, the end all, you know, kind of be all of the movie.
3, 2, 1.
And, you know, it's, you know, I'm not gonna sit here and say Miley Jovovich is a bad actress, because I don't personally think she is. I mean, watching her in The Fifth Element with Bruce Willis, that was interesting. She's a good actress, don't get me wrong here. But if you've played Resident Evil 0, if you played Resident Evil 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, you know, if you played Biohazard, you played Village, and if you've played Requiem, you know that the story behind Resident Evil is way more than just what we got in the movies. Yeah, we got Umbrella. What do I do with this? Yeah, you've got Umbrella. You've got, you know, a bunch of other things. But here's the problem. You got the mansion in the mountains and stuff, and you've got the nest in the mountains. You know, you've got
Compared to me, you are nothing.
you know, they put everything they could. Well, they didn't put everything they could have into it. But, you know, did they actually get the horror survival of the feelings of the games? No, we got more of you know, it wasn't a campy horror movie.
7, 6, 5, 4,
You know, what did we get?
2, 1.
You know, we got, you know, to be perfectly honest, you know, we got more of, you know, zombie horror survival movie that didn't really know what it was doing with itself. And I know I'll get hate for saying that, but it's the truth. You know, the concept of Alice in the movies does actually fit the Resident Evil universe. I mean, how many copies of Mr. X or Tyrants do they have? They have a lot. So, the Alice storyline would have worked. You know, it would have fit in. It actually fit a little bit because Umbrella had cloned. Because in the story, you know, Umbrella Spencer was trying to clone himself, and you know, not only was he trying to make clones of himself, he was also trying to forward humanity's evolution through the use of viruses. So, you know, to a degree, the movies did
Find and execute the intruder.
capture the some of the game's original spirit. You know, but by all measures, that's great. That's wonderful. But, you know, when you hear Resident Evil, do you think of Miley Jovovich? Well, now you do because of the movies. But when you hear Resident Evil, you know, outside of, you know, certain characters, you know, when I think of Resident Evil, do I sit here and think of Miley Jovovich as Alice? No. I think of Leon Kennedy, Ada Wong, Claire Redfield, Chris Redfield. Let's see, who else? You know, the G virus, the T virus. You know, though, you know, that's what I think of when I think of Resident Evil. You know, the world is one step away if these brave people who survive these terrible situations.
Preparing self-defense incineration.
Watch where you step.
And, you know, you think of humanity, you know, when you think of Resident Evil, you know, you think of humanity fighting against
Do well when it's not as long.
its own self-made horrors. I don't sit here and think of,
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
you know, I think of humanity's fight to stay alive.
That's it for the airships. Wish we took a bigger bite out of them, but as always next time, here's your reward.
Yeah, that's definitely designed for more than one person. Darn all the bad luck, but I did my best. So when you sit there and think of, you know, Resident Evil, you know, if you've only ever seen the movies, you know, you think of Miley Jovovich as Alice. And, you know, like I said, the Alice character was definitely an interesting play that would have fit, that definitely fits Umbrella. But, you know, in the first movie, you know, they go into Nest, which wasn't even the actual Nest facility. That was Spencer's lab. What was it? It wasn't Spencer's personal lab. What was it? Because Nest was technically under Raccoon City, and then Nest 2 was under Raccoon City Hospital. And, you know, they also brought up the antiviral. Well, it was a retroviral, not an antiviral. It was a retroviral. It was to suppress the virus and see if you could survive. And your body could use the virus to fix itself. So that was true, but you know, there was, but the thing that was actually sad was that we discover in Resident Evil 3 with Jill Valentine's second situation dealing with Umbrella, and the fact that the STARS team had been disbanded and Jill was getting treated. A lot of the STARS people had been treated horribly after the mansion incident. Because, I mean, if you played the remakes or anything of the sort, you notice that in Resident Evil 3, Jill was forced to leave the stars because Umbrella forced Chief Irons to shut down the stars. Because stars had done something very unprecedented. They had survived the mansion. Not only had they survived the mansion, which they weren't supposed to do. You know, they lost most of the team, but Claire Redfield survived. Well, not Claire. Jill Valentine survived. Chris Redfield, the captain of Stars, survived. And I think there was, let's see, Wesker was a double agent who was actually in control of Umbrella. So for plot reasons, he would have survived. But, and you know, if you go to the events of Resident Evil 0 with, what was her name, Rebecca Chambers, and that felon guy who was on the train with her. You know, Rebecca Chambers survived. Jill Valentine survived. Chris Redfield survived. You know, these people were not supposed to survive. They were supposed to be dead. And I know that's morose and everything, but it's the sad truth. That these people were not supposed to survive. So you have these stories of humanity's survival by either the skin of your teeth or through sheer determination and everything. And you know what happens in Resident Evil, in the first Resident Evil movie. You know, you get them going into Nest after somebody released an airborne version of the T-virus, and you know that was never the case. To my knowledge, in game lore, the T-virus was never airborne. I mean, from what I understand, the C-virus from Resident Evil, it was either 5 or 6, that one could actually be released as an aerosol. But to my knowledge, none of the viruses in Resident Evil were airborne. So that already contradicts what was going on in the movie. Now, you can hear the people already screaming at me. Well, Ghost, you're just hating. I actually really enjoy the Resident Evil games. I've got Village. Let's see. I've got the remake for 2, remake for 3, remake for 4. I have Biohazard and Village, and I plan on getting Requiem. I don't hate the games. In fact, the story of the games was always the best part of it. I mean, even for Metal Gear Solid here, the game lore is pretty intense. Well, not intense. Well, is fairly well thought out and planned out. And so is Resident Evil's. Sure, they have a couple of holes here. They have a couple of holes there.
I have been doing this longer than you have been on the assembly line.
So, yeah. I do get it. And, you know, what did you want to see? You know, you didn't want, you know, I didn't mind, you know, on reflection, you know, I didn't mind that, you know, they went into the mansion under Nest. But, you know, in terms of lore, you know, that was the Spencer Mansion.
You can never control chaos.
One of the founders of Umbrella. And it was his personal lab where he was studying the T-virus. And other variants of the progenitor virus.
Control me?
Well, let's make sure that's, let's actually correct that. That mansion was where they were studying the T-virus, yes, but they were also creating other viruses and seeing what they were doing. And, you know, they also glossed over what was found in the Spencer Mansion. I mean, one of the darkest moments of the original Resident Evil game was finding out what had been done to the man who built Spencer's Mansion. What happened to his wife and daughter? They were abducted and experimented on. And, you know, and horrifying as it sounds, the daughter actually survived being injected with you know, multiple different viruses. And she was just this walking monster who was in so much agony and pain. That, you know, she probably couldn't even think straight anymore. And, you know, was that element in any of the Resident Evil movies? Well, I mean, they captured part of it, but with the AI computer, well, no, the AI based off of the Spencer's daughter, which, you know, wasn't even the reason why Spencer originally started creating the viruses. The reason why Spencer was even creating the viruses was he wanted to, you know, accelerate humanity's evolution through use of viruses. And then you learn in Resident Evil Village that Mother Miranda actually meant Spencer Oswald, and the fact that he knew about the Megamycete and he still believed that viruses were the way to fast forward humans' evolution. Instead of this super conglomerate company that just wanted to take over the world. Yes, Umbrella wanted to make money. Yes, Umbrella... But they didn't want to end the world. They didn't want to take control of the world. They just wanted to make money. Now, the one who actually wanted to take over the world was actually Albert Wesker. That was actually Albert Wesker who wanted to do that, and he was working toward it later. I mean, that was part of the reason why he developed the C virus, for Pete's sake. Because the C virus was a combination of the T and the G virus. And its sole purpose was to create infected. And, you know, Albert Wesker, he didn't infect himself. What did he do? He injected himself with a version to basically give himself superhuman abilities. And he had to inject some other stuff into him to make sure he didn't mutate into a monster.
Whenever you're ready, punch the button.
That is the way the dice roll.
So you didn't, and you know.
High speed, I am chaos.
So in the Resident Evil universe, does the concept of Alice make sense? Yeah, it does. You know, super soldier creation through genetic manipulation with viruses? Yeah, that fits. It fits really well in the Resident Evil universe. Not gonna lie. But, you know, is that what we got? No, we got, let's see, Resident Evil. What were those movies? You got Resident Evil. Then you got, what was it? Apocalypse, Extinction, and something else, where, you know, most of the Western to moving Midwestern had succumbed
switch. Pull the lever. Shoot the panel. Smack the button.
Smack the button.
Press the button. Do not pull the lever. Flip that switch. Shoot the panel. Flip that switch.
Detonation.
Flip that switch. Press the button. Shoot the panel. Shoot the panel. Shoot the panel. Press the button.
Press the button.
Press the button. Press the button. Melee the button. Do not pull the lever. Flip
Don't
that
pull the
switch.
Switch.
Pay dirt. You go ahead and take what you like. My fee's squared away. Come back whenever if you're down for another.
Perfect weapon to raise the stakes.
Still don't understand why this guy's using what looks like a cane, but okay. So, you know, you get these movies about them solely experimenting with the T-virus. You don't really see the tyrants. I mean, you get a version of them later on. But, you know, the thing is humanity is losing. And, you know, the hope at the end of the game wasn't so much that humanity would win this. It would be that humanity survived. Or you had one guy, or you had one hell of a survivor doing their absolute best to make sure that the rest of humanity didn't have to deal with this. I mean, you know, this is kind of where the views of Chris Redfield, Claire Redfield, Leon Kennedy, Ada Wong, eventually Ethan Winters, Mia Winters, let's see, Jill Valentine, although I don't, and who else? But, you know, and, you know, they also take away from the other elements, like the parasites from Resident Evil 4, Los Plagas. And how Wesker plant, or the fact that the cult of Los Illuminados was trying to take over the world by being able to infect the President of the United States. And it took, you know, the survival... Well, not survival. You know, the survivalist of Leon Kennedy, who had also had undergone basically Green Beret training.
Ding, another winner.
Where is this snow coming from?
Hey, nice! Why is this ticking?
I cannot see.
What? What about the other two gifts? Hey, Rush, this new you thing?
This lube is
What the heck?
primo,
Did
man.
my stream just
It
crash?
tingles a little, but otherwise, no problems. He.
Ye- Yeah, my internet disconnected for a minute.
Moisturized hand of eye. Ignitia screw of the Kairos Ministry of Culture. Damn it. The Mark pack was a trap. This screw
Oh!
way of destroying any joy left on Kairos. I wanna. No. Focus. I'm tracking his signal. Go give him the only gift he deserves.
Okay, I'll go deal with the Ministry of Culture. Alright, well, that's a whole mini area in and of itself, so we'll get to that in a minute. I am dropping frames. I wonder why.
Got one more order pod for you. Ripe for the picking.
Okay.
How about it? One more job?
I would love nothing more than
Okay, let's
to
go
ruin
over this
some
way for a
border
minute.
asshole's day.
Head to my mark. Ping me when you're close.
Another. Our launch grows ever closer.
Oh, that is the order ship I took down. The modifications you have made look superb.
Pretty great, huh? Since our dollar to Saul isn't a threat anymore, we've really been able to get cooking. All that's left is to fix a busted drive. Tell me, what action? All of us. If Conway ever gets back, that is. Always on the move. No wonder they like being a pilot. Conway, come in. You there, Conway? That's weird. They're always on their radio. Usually too much. They went out scavenging for drive parts. You mind checking in on them? Probably just have their hands full, but peace of mind and all that.
Of course, my friend. They likely just got into some shenanigans.
Okay, folks. I need to check out a few things. So, give me a minute. Because that was weird. I mean, I've had frames drop before. But that's a bit concerning considering everything was fine here for a minute. So, give me a quick minute here to check things. So, I will try and hurry up with this. Alright, folks, I'm not sure what's going on. I'm definitely having some frame rate drop, but I'm not sure why. I'm not really seeing what the issue is. I mean, it's a 1% drop. I mean, my mic still sounds weird, but that could just be because of the volume. And it's dropped, and my frame drop rate is dropping. So what's going on here? Okay. Oh. Oh no, now I'm back. What is going on? If I can make it to the second hour without the stream crashing again, I'll stay on. But if it doesn't, I'm gonna have to stop and start troubleshooting. Because it doesn't make sense why things are crashing. I know my hardware was acting wonky earlier. I haven't seen hide nor hair of
Are you here?
of it acting really strange. That's a bummer, really. The things are acting weird. And now my voice is sounding nice.
Got something for you.
Oops. But anyway, back on to the topic at hand for Resident Evil. You know, I can see the Alice program happening. It makes sense. Genetically modified human.
Conway was definitely here. They left a log behind.
Report. This wreckage is no longer a viable scavenge location for any useful components, tech, or parts. Personal note. Digging
Design.
through the skeletal remains of a ship when our own launch is so close is unnerving. Keep thinking about the day I crashed here. Can't help feeling it was my fault. Gotta shake it. under my skin. Not when they're counting on me.
Rush, no sign of... I will keep looking.
I still can't get through to them either. I don't like this one bit.
I am sure everything is fine. We will find it.
We bet.
So, I can definitely get on board.
That's our pilot and my best pal. Okay, not gonna freak out yet. Just hurry, okay?
Hope you are ready to fall!
With the whole idea of Project Alice, it playing a role. Yeah, I can get behind that. I can, that's even a reasonable plot line that could happen in the Resident Evil universe. So, that was fine. But, no Claire Redfield, no Chris Redfield until like the third or fourth movie. No Leon Kennedy. I think you got Ada Wong in one. And then you get some version of Albert Wesker who's not even the boss.
You seem to have wasted your newbies on life.
And then how does the whole movie series end? They release the antiviral into the atmosphere, which is great. Don't get me wrong, it's great. Into the atmosphere, and it's slowly gonna go start around the world.
Right for the shoot.
And it's going to stop the zombie apocalypse, but it's gonna take how many years to go around the world? Off the top of your head? How many years? And Project Alice is seen just riding off on a motorcycle
Oh, I think I hit something.
to go to places where that the antiviral agent hasn't reached. I mean, it's give me a break.
I win.
Yay, humanity's saved, but we still need the genetically created thing to save our butts. Well, genetically created human, I guess you could say, to save our skin. Well, no, human's more accurate. This genetically created human you know, when you go throughout the games, to save our butts, and it's like, that was never the premise of the games. It was humanity surviving by the skin of its teeth, and and, you know, maybe one or two lone survivors.
Still no Conway. But that log is theirs.
Or 3 if you want to count Ada Wong in some cases, or 4 in the case of Resident Evil 2. Well, there was more than 4 survivors, but you get my point here. You know, there was, you know, they just completely removed that humanity survived because somebody or some group of people went out of their way to save humanity.
Report.
And, you know, they made it action-y. Don't get me wrong. They made it action-y.
Weather's eaten away at these drive parts, but a few may be worth testing. Maybe I'll...
But the message of human strength surviving over
Someone's found something worth finding. Heading over to check it
the
out.
adversity
Personal note.
of it all.
Maybe it's not the launch itself I'm worried about. Maybe it's not knowing how far we'll need to travel before we can transmit Kairos' coordinates. It could be years, just drifting. All of it riding on me.
Rush, Conway had a lead on some interesting scavenge. Heading that way now.
Okay, that's promising. Please keep me posted.
And, you know, you're taking away one of the key elements from the movie. Well, one of the key game elements away from the movie. Because humanity didn't survive because you had this one ardent, hardened survivor. And you're replacing that element with, here's a genetically modified basic super soldier to save humanity's skin. And that was never the original messaging in Resident Evil. So why did the people who had never played the games like it? Because, oh, action flick, humanity survives, yay! Because we had a savior. But to anyone who's played the games, where's Leon? Where's Claire? Where's Jill? Where's Chris? Where's Rebecca Chambers? Where's Ada? Where's Sherry Birkin? Are we going to be introduced to the G virus, the C virus? Are we going to be introduced to anything that, you know, makes, you know, where is, or is the T virus this end-all be-all of the viruses? You celebrated too soon. Sorry. Is my mic not working? Or did I... What's going on? So... You know, it's just, you know, where's the elements that make you understand humanity can survive as long as, you know, we've got that one or two people who are willing to fight tooth and nail so humanity can survive. Ooh, legendary. That's interesting. Oh. Score. The system. Darn. Don't you hate it when you've already got something better and sorry about that, folks. I had to go deal with something. I apologize. But But, you know, did we...
For deconstructive criticism.
So, we basically...
Leave the food at the door. I don't want to
Chugs.
see your face. It's been an hour, and you said delivery in 20 to 30 minutes.
Relying on others is always a gamble, my friend. Next time, I suggest you call in a pickup order.
Sure, but I don't wanna. And I hate leaving my home. And also, I don't wanna. Enough chatter. Are you the delivery guy or what? We can't sacrifice this little sneak to the void until we get our blood sugar up.
That little sneak could be Conway. Perhaps I can gain intrigue if I find their food. Rush, I am not positive yet, but I think Rippers may have captured Conway.
Damn. But captured is better than, you know. I'm gonna grab support and then I'll head your way. Be careful.
So... So, you know, again, the Project Alice idea fits Resident Evil. Don't get me wrong, it does fit. But you're taking the core of the story away from regular human fighting their butt off to survive. And, you know, you also had, you know, people getting special training. I mean, some had more training than others.
Oh, bastard. The delivery thing could not have been.
Like the stars. What did STAR stand for again? Special let's see. Special tactics. What was it? Stars. Special tactics. Let's see. Special tactics. I'll look it up here in a second.
Extra bang for my buck!
I could use that.
Guess they were not splatterproof.
See, booze, Happy Meal. Oh, not a Happy Meal, just a meal. More booze. See, more food. More food. More food. More booze. And more, oh, a water bottle. But the movie essentially took away. So the movies essentially took away the human element from the movie of humanity survives because somebody was there to fight for us. to fight for humanity. And the gridiron survivor and the gritty hero who saves our lives. Is not even there. We get a genetic, we get this like generic super soldier archetype. I mean, even Terminator in the second movies, we actually got, humanity fighting back against the machine. And even taking control of the machine, if you will, here. You basically gave them, you basically turned a movie about humans surviving into Super Soldier Save Us or Savior Save Us. Is that? Oh, let's get out of here. That thudding sound is starting to bug me a little bit.
Hello? I really have your foot this time. How about letting me in so I can tell you how deeply sorry I am?
Fine! But it better be real wet and soggy or no tip.
Excuse me?
Good. Now here's your tip. Never keep a dead dog waiting. This is your last delivery job, Bucket.
The Hangry Rippers. Chum Bucket. Oh, I'm sorry, was that your head? So, and it's like, huh. So, and this is part of the reason why they say there's a curse about video game movies. Well, the curse isn't so much that there is actually a curse. It's just that when you change so much of what made the video game good, any fan of any movies, any person who likes the games, and it's like, oh my gosh, a game I like is going to the movie. Hopefully they'll do something good. I mean, that... I mean... And when you go and sit in the movies, it's like, why am I watching this? This is terrible. This isn't even why I came to this movie in the first place. You know, what the heck?
Another cage after last time. Help! Everyone definitely noticed I was gone and were really worried, right? Like, really worried?
Yeah, I'm gonna go with yes.
You are going to be okay.
Hi,
I will
Conway.
get you out of here.
I totally
And, you know, and then you go to the latest movie that was about video games that flopped, and that was the Uncharted movie.
Wait, no. They're gonna sacrifice me to the void.
And, you know, to be perfectly honest, you know, I don't think Tom Holland was the problem in that movie.
I'm gonna catch it time. Almost want to join in myself.
That implosion drive is clearly malfunctioning. Move me away from it.
The problem was, once again, we're given, you take a game series that was really well liked, a lot of people really enjoyed,
This crane
And-
operator is serious. A real credit to his profession.
He didn't even take his 15-minute mandated break.
and what did they do? Instead of giving
You
us,
seem to have wasted your new lease on life.
you know, Nathan Drake surviving by the skin of his teeth, you know, we get this guy who gets through every rough situation, not by luck, but because somebody else saved him to a degree.
It's not that I'm not curious about what being consumed by a void will feel like. I'd just rather it happen in another 50 years or so.
Well, luck, skill, whatever you want to call it. Well, luck and skill, or his ability to do this or that. You know, how does he survive? He survives through other things.
You know, I'm starting to kind of
Like Nathan Drake in the games actually did. He survived through luck.
The cage will not budge, Conway. I will try shutting down the implosion drive.
In space, that drive would warp the ship elsewhere. If you can power the engines instead, that may trigger their launch systems and take all the implosion drive's power. Whatever you do, don't destroy it. This may be our only chance of getting a functioning drive for our ship. This would be way worse if I was scared of heights. Which I am!
So instead of this, oh, by the skin of my teeth, you survived. Huzzah. We get, you know, we don't even get, you know, we survive by the skin of our teeth. We get, you get your butt saved by somebody else. that was never the point of Uncharted. The point of Uncharted was to survive with luck and whatever skill you had. So, you wonder why video game movies flop so much? Hollywood? Here's from the mouth of a guy who's gamed since he was a kid. Instead of letting your directors do whatever the heck they want, whenever they want, making the movies that fits their vision. How about you do the smart thing and say, here's the game. You need to play this. Now that everybody's played it, make a script that feels like this game. And if you say it's impossible, that's a load of malarkey. Keep this true to the game spirit. I mean, if you really want an example of we care more about the spirit, look at Hugh Jackman's Wolverine for a minute. Hugh Jackman is like what, 6'1", 6'2"? And in the comic books, Wolverine is what, like 5'3", 5'4"?
Launch that ship to nowhere! Fingers crossed this actually powers down the void instead of enveloping all of us immediately!
I mean, even in Deadpool and Wolverine, Ryan Reynolds actually makes fun of the fact that he found that the comic accurate Wolverine is only like 5'3", 5'4".
Nice. We avoided certain death. Wow, I'm sorry. The fear of imminent death clearly affected my humor in a negative way. What are you... Oh no! Whew. I thought that was it for me.
Makes fun of that. But Hugh Jackman captured Wolverine's spirit, and everybody loved it.
Could you keep what I said in them just between us? Thanks.
Your secrets are safe. But do not thank me just yet. Bump it right ahead.
So, you know, if we can actually keep the spirit of the game in there,
those things back, please.
You forgot the dessert! I'm gonna devour everything in your belly!
Hello,
Good luck
chums.
dodging this!
Oh, Conway.
So,
you're all right. We got here
yeah.
as soon as we could.
Hey, all's
You know,
well that ends
if you're making a game
with me
movie,
not being void for
certain things do need to be accurate,
I may
but
have
you want the spirit of the game.
slowed us down. Maybe you'll finally start joining me for cardio.
So, Tomb Raider, you
Absolutely
had
not.
partial the spirit, focused too
Alright, I
much
think I'm
on
okay
selling
now.
Angelina Jolie's beauty.
Hold on.
Then
that?
Resident Evil, nope.
semi-functioning implosion drive.
All you got was, instead of human survival,
Oh, that's
you
good.
get Super Soldier
That's
Save
very,
Us.
Very good. Vault Hunter, when you have a moment, I could use a bit of your time. Semi-functioning can become functioning very quickly. This changes everything.
And then in the Uncharted movie, it was... Luck, it wasn't even luck, it was, bro, you got your butt saved by your friend. What, what the heck? Nathan Drake survived by the teeth of his skin. He survived through his own grit. And you take that away from the movies, and what do you get? You get movies that video gamers who would have been like, okay, yeah, I'll give this a shot. And what do we get? We get trash.
I said it already, but we're all real glad you're here. Mind assisting with the implosion drive? Mind assisting with the implosion drive?
So, yeah.
Some power coming up. And
What do
no
you
one
do?
better appear and take me into
Like I
custody.
said, capture the spirit
I guarantee
and
nothing.
try and get everything as
Drive is
game
malfunctioning
accurate
due to
as you
power
can.
flow issues. There's an ordered plant nearby that should be able to reset its electrical core. Conway and I can transport it there and leave the order control to you. A real implosion drive. This is the most excited I've felt in maybe ever.
And, you might actually get something that actually works out.
Perhaps I should detail my plan further. Don't worry, for your sake, I'll do so in layman's terms.
Why use this layman guy's words instead of your own?
Rush,
I mean, if you really want to look
I don't
at
really know how to
the
respond to that.
successes, I mean, look at the Sonic the Hedgehog movies.
What was that?
You got 3 very successful video game movies.
Obvious red. His turn.
Sonic 1 was great because you actually had a young Sonic who hadn't really grown into the Sonic the Hedgehog we all know and love.
Only ever lived with my legs and never my back.
My diagnosis? You got a bad case of dangeritis. I can help with that.
I know who gets it. The augers. I'm so tired of this flimsy flesh body. I'm gonna go join them and get a new cybernetic back installed.
You sanitized this, right? I used to have one. You want this back? You just let me know.
I'll have done.
I'll show you
Always
what.
appreciate.
Take a. Oops. No, I peed on it. Mm. Eh.
Welcome to quote-unquote Dr. Zed's. Shoot, I can get some use out of this yet.
That's interesting.
You done with this? You sure? Oh, you'll be back real soon, I'm sure. Come to take a look at me goods? Fuck! You're taking all me money! Guess I'll have to steal some more.
I like that, but it's not the one that I want.
Why am I buying
And
your
that's
shotgun?
basically the lesser version of that, of the legendary shotgun that I want.
Not sure what I'll do with it. That'll keep the bodies that... If you got any more like this, you know, sucker. What? I mean, just scratch this. You drive a hard bargain. Sucker. What? Wait. That'll keep the bodies that... If you got any more like this, you know, that'll keep the bodies that... Oh, the van's gonna look... Just scratch the... You drive... Not sure what I'll do with it. Fuck. If you got any... You drive a hard bargain. Fuck. You drive a... Wait. Why am I... Fuck. If you see a dictator today, kill him dead.
Okay. Does this thing have a... I need to go deposit some... Alright, I gotta go back to the Outlander's main base then. Because what I got on me, I actually want to put in my safe. Or vault, whatever you want to call it. But, you know, it was a young Sonic who hadn't really grown into his own. And you had Jim Carrey's Robotnik running around just kind of doing his own thing.
Now we're one step closer to things operating.
And of course, Jim Carrey gives us a phenomenal performance as Dr. Ivo Robotnik, which aptly Sonic dubs him Eggman for the bots that Eggman uses. That one's actually a bit more stronger than this one. So let's deposit that. Let's deposit that. So which one is my actual better choice then? So is this just going to come down to my preference or... Never mind. That one's damage is through the roof. And I always tend to... Devastating dancer. Alright, we're good. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's a legendary, but where in the heck am I gonna get this guy's class mod? I could use one for right now. Unless this guy... I mean, this is the rogue class, so I don't understand... Actually, where's my phone? I need to check something. I want to see if there is a class mod for him. Because they might not have one.
Always a good time to mentally review our inventory.
So it is luck based. So where are his class mods then? Oh, his class mods are only in the DLC. That's ridiculous. Well, that explains why I haven't found any yet. It's ridiculous to say the least. Alright, I need to use the bathroom and stretch my legs real quick, so I'll be right back, folks. Enjoy the background noises. Oh, I needed to stretch my legs. Sorry that took so long, folks. But let's get back to things, shall we? But, you know, when you take away what somebody likes about a video game series or whatever, don't be surprised when they don't even want to watch what some director likes. I mean, take a look at what happened to Star Wars. I mean, there were a lot of people who wanted more Star Wars. There were plenty of people who wanted more Star Wars. And, you know, what did we get? I mean, a lot of people didn't like the prequels. I mean, they could have been done a little bit better in my opinion. But, you know, that wasn't the worst.
Thankfully, the implosion drive is intact. It still needs protection.
But overall, it set. But overall, they set up the universe for what happened for A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, and The Return of the Jedi.
Don't let them take the implosion drive!
Or damage it on account of the blueberry factor.
And that's primarily what they were supposed to do. Now, a couple of things were a bit wonky, like, you know, why did Padme Amidala die? I mean, ultimately the explanation that came out was a bit campy, but it's like, okay, she died of a broken heart. We get it. Because there is such a condition where people have had where it represents they're having a heart attack, but they call it, like, what was it, like broken heart syndrome, something like that. I forget the exact. And, you know, that was our explanation for Padme Amidala's death. And, you know, it's like, And it's just like, I don't know if I buy that.
Generator on the lower level is our goal. That's where you can zap the drive back into
But, you know, it gave us the necessary background.
Gotta say, it feels strange that you were the one who scouted out the place.
What? I'll have you know, I've got the vision of a bloodwing.
And the stealth of a clopping wild.
Torn. Remember when you tried to steal a look at Rush's protein bar recipe and literally fell into the pot of...
No, I remember no such thing.
Do not fear death. You are very alive as he is.
Protein. More protein, damn it. More protein. More protein!
They really don't like us here, huh? Let's finish this and get back to HQ.
If y'all got this handled, I'll stay on comms while I go give the ship some love. Trying not to die. Or ruin our best chance at getting off Kairos. In that order.
As if the pressure weren't enough already.
I need to sit down.
But, you know, it set the stage. And, you know, that's kind of what we needed. Now, was it 100% accurate? Probably not. But, you know, we got a couple of things. And, you know, then we get to after...
We'll have to drain the reservoir to proceed. The generator should be okay. If not...
Trust me, I never forget mistakes. No need to repeat them again.
You know, I thought we'd have to launch a ship with the
And do we get the Luke Skywalker we wanted? No, we don't. We get this old, embittered, fearful old man who does not even look.
People can hardly focus around here. But you're right. We can't get ahead of ourselves. Not when the dream of getting off Kairos is so close.
And who is our new Jedi-looking apprentice? It's the daughter of a Palpatine clone, basically.
If only the Order protected the people it
Basically.
subjugates as well as it protects its facilities. You can practically set off
I mean, it was but originally it was supposed to be Palpatine's granddaughter, because before Darth Sidious started training under Darth Plagueis the Wise, he apparently had a fling with some woman that resulted in him having a child with her. But the child wasn't force sensitive, so he didn't really care. But apparently Rey was force sensitive. I mean, that was the story that was supposed to happen, but they didn't do it. They went with Palpatine's clone one of Palpatine's clones that wasn't force sensitive, because Palpatine had been working on that project in secret for years. And that clone, it was either programmed to do something else or just decided to do something else. And instead of trying to find a way to do whatever it was going to do, the clone, and somehow it produced a force-sensitive child. And instead of Rey embracing the dark side, she embraced the light side. Now, according to canon Star Wars lore, there have been many a Sith who had children. Some embraced, a majority of them embraced the dark side like their fathers did because they grew up in it. I mean, there was a Sith Emperor who had two sons who conspired together to end him. And take over. So, you know, Sith having children, and they either conspire to overthrow their parent. You know, it was there. And, you know, essence transfer too. That's something that's canon too.
I do not believe this was the ideal result.
You know the saying that when one thing goes wrong, others tend to follow?
Yes, I am still being followed by the first thing that went wrong.
It's my fault. Without the water to cool the generator, it overheated. I should have caught that. I'm sure the Order has some replacement parts on hand. Mind playing mechanic, too?
So you're aware the launch will only be Conway and a few crew members. It's too much of a risk to send more now. As much as I wish I could join, I can't just leave everyone here to fend for themselves, you know? I know Conway understands, but something seems off. It's like their laughter no longer includes their eyes. Does that make sense? I don't know. Have they said anything to you?
Not directly, but I think you should chat with him when you can. It is always good to be direct.
I think I understand. Thank you.
Got the parts.
Wonderful. Just need to be slotted into the generator and we're back on track.
So, you know, there was, you know, reason.
No more errors or alarms. Although I can definitely still hear them. I'm sure that's
So,
of any
some of the story elements did make sense. But, you know, I mean, the new 3 series did have potential. I'm not gonna lie, they did have potential. Because you had this person who could be prone to be tempted to the dark side. You know, Kylo Ren was a good character, and it could have led somewhere. But the thing that they made the mistake on was Rey. Now, am I sitting here saying that Rey was a bad character? No. Let me make my point here very, very, very clear. Ray, as character potential goes, wasn't perfect, but the potential was excellent. And you had to remember something.
It feels good to hope again.
You're feeling human emotion? I'm telling Rush.
Conway,
It's so easy.
Now,
messing
why
with
do I
you.
say it was excellent?
But seriously, we've all been sitting with the dread that we won't believe. Even Rush, for all his upbeat energy.
Well, Ray's potential was a near perfect fit.
I know it.
This young desert scavenger was very clearly force sensitive. She didn't really know her background.
Mighty fine on my shelves.
And it was pretty clear that she was force sensitive, and that, you know, she obviously grew up hearing the stories of the rebellion that was now the some form of alliance. And, you know, it was fairly obvious that if the character had been done right, you know, there was a possibility that you could have
it's like they heard me be optimistic for once.
Clearing the area before bringing in the unpredictable explosion drive would have been smart. I blame anyone.
Yes. Perhaps I should have included Conway on this at the start after all.
I heard that and recorded it for posterity. Thanks, bud.
I always make time for the little shit. And now, for my next
And, you know, what did they do? They made Ren into this super Wonder Woman kind of character, which, if you knew anything about Star Wars lore, even the most gifted children, because even the most gifted Force children, you know, I mean, Count Dooku was an incredibly talented Force sensitive that was found. And they took years of training. I mean, take a look at Luke, you know, just as an example. Anakin, before he became Darth Vader, you know, he didn't really use the Force. It took him years to learn to control the Force, and Rey is doing it just by being, introduced to, being exposed to it. You know, she can't do it all that strongly, but she can force pull, she can duel, and that literally makes no sense. So from there, you know, you have people like Anakin Skywalker, Count Dooku, people who were very talented in the Force, but the problem was they still had to spend like at least 10 or so years of training.
Everything looks operational. We have a functioning implosion drive. We're in the clear.
Just just to be able to use their Force abilities properly.
Can you do the honors of retrieving the drive? I dived down there myself, but I have a thing against, well, emptying the contents of my stomach, surrounded by stuff that likely already resembles the contents of my stomach.
Yeah, this place reeks as though one rotting carcass was stuffed into another rotting carcass. I just moved gunk all in my crevices now. Oh, come on!
But, you know, you spent, you know, 10 or so years training. I mean, if you sit there and watch Yoda, he's training what, 4, 5, no, closer to like 3 or 4-year-olds training with Jedi Masters, you know, learning to sense things with the Force, move things with the Force. Mind you, these are all children. You know, generating Force barriers, learning to duel, learning to, you know, just everything that they need to do to be Jedi. And, you know, and you think about it for a minute, and, you know, Ren can just, she's just so badass that it doesn't matter what we've seen canonically from movies 1 through 6. It takes many years of training to master force abilities. I mean, you know, The Empire Strikes Back doesn't show it well, but Luke spent, what, how many years on Dagobah with Yoda just training? He spent a couple of years training with Yoda just to be able to use his Force abilities to fight Darth Vader and Darth Sidious. And in the and Rey can magically duel against a trained Force user who started out as a Jedi Padawan. That makes absolutely zero sense. There's literally no way that someone who was never force trained, yes, they were force sensitive, but that an untrained could have taken on somebody like Kylo Ren. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, her defeating Kylo Ren is one. Finally, I got a mod. Is there any? Is one heck of showing off her potential, but
Still alive. No implosion. So far, so good.
but it literally but it's just ridiculous that a non-force user who's never spent a day training in their lives well, no. Oh, wait, no, I said that wrong. A force-sensitive user who hasn't trained a day in their lives can defeat someone who's been training since at least the age... What? Kylo Ren looked like he was maybe 8 or 9 when he started training in the flashback. Maybe 10 or a little bit older.
Drive is okay. I am okay. And nothing's exploded. Yet.
Wait, that was just a joke, right?
No, of course not. In my experience, there is just always another explosion.
And this...
Another win for me!
And this...
Before I forget, I just
you know, non-trained... And you're telling me this non-trained, force-sensitive has a chance to actually beat, you know, an intermediary Sith user, not a Sith master? I hate to break it to the people who think Rey is great, but there's no way. A Sith apprentice took down a Jedi master in the form of Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, yes, Qui-Gon Jinn was... Qui-Gon Jinn was quite old when he fought against Darth Maul. That's undeniable. And that was also a contributing factor as to why he lost. But still, a force sensitive with no training, no saber form, defeats what's at best, well, not at best, but basically a Sith apprentice. When a Sith apprentice defeated a Jedi Master in the past, strictly due to the fact that Qui-Gon Jinn was a very old man. And their saber forms gave Maul a slight advantage. Huh. Rift Champion's gone? Darn, I was hoping for a rematch against a couple of those. That's sad. Darn. Oh well. Alright, let's go here then. But, you know, the thing that they don't tell you about Darth Maul, that if you read the books that the prequels, was that Darth Sidious got Darth Maul as a baby and trained him from an incredibly young age. And, you know, that's another factor as to why Maul won.
Come to take a look at me guts?
Maul had been trained for years before he even met Qui-Gon Jinn on the battlefield.
Keep the bodies at bay.
I haven't actually seen that one before.
Sucker, what? I mean, you know. Just leave the money on the dresser. And we're off. Come see me again. Unless you're broke.
So, you know,
Bugger off.
there's the pod. I think this is the oh, this one's really annoying.
I am on time. When are we starting?
You know the drill. When you punch the button, be ready. Flip that switch. Replace the power core. Pull the lever.
not that one. Not that one. Go. Go away. You're distracting me. Okay, so that's fine.
Flip that switch. Replace the power core. Pull the lever.
Oh, lever,
I had
lever.
my doubts about you the second I saw you. Are you gonna prove me right or prove me wrong? Whenever you're ready, punch the button.
Go away.
Nothing's on my side.
What was that? Failed. Run it again. Whenever you're ready, punch the button. Flip that switch. Replace the power core. Pull the lever. Don't flip the switch.
Don't flip the switch.
Press the button.
Press the button.
Melee the button.
Smack the button.
Shoot the panel.
No.
Remove the power core.
Oh, remove that.
Do not pull the lever. Shoot the panel. Flip that switch. Melee the button. Replace the power core. Press the button.
Press the button.
Press the button. Smack the button. Press the button. Remove the power core. Flip that switch. Pull the lever. Shoot the panel. Pull the lever. Flip that switch. Replace the power core.
This is annoying.
Looks like you hit the jackpot. Keep what you like and sell the rest. It's always a pleasure working with a professional.
These chests barely give me anything good. Just money to sell, basically. I actually get more when I fight the Rift champions. Although their legendary drops are basically non-existent, though. But I do tend to get half good here, so that's why I do them. You think it would be, considering they're a form of boss.
Tick-tock, tick-tock. Extra bang for my buck.
Bye, Felicia. But, you know, a force-sensitive actually defeating a trained Sith apprentice the way Rey did is virtually impossible. It's utter nonsense, to be perfectly honest. I mean, I know that there are those who say, but Rey's such a badass. No, she's not. I mean, eventually, through some force. I mean, does she, when she finally gets in front of Luke, does Luke train her in saber forms? No. She literally has no force. I mean, not force. She literally has no formal saber training or saber dueling. And if you know anything about sword dueling or even firearm dueling, you have to be able to have the reflexes, the muscle memory, and everything. And I hate to break this to anybody out there who says, oh, you can just pick something up and learn it. You can, oh, it's so easy. No, it's not. It is not easy at all. If you're... I mean, can you start learning how to use something? Yeah. But let me make this very clear. When I went through Marine Corps boot camp, you know, we spent months learning to drill. We spent months learning how to use the sights, to use the iron sights properly, and then eventually learning how to use the ACOG properly.
I'm near tight already.
I am only helping you out because I like your legs. I mean,
You know,
your friend,
this
your legs.
took time.
Not your legs.
This
Where are
took
your legs anyway?
learning.
Mind yourself. Here come the nasty devils. Cheers, a friend. The trotters had gone to find you. Hannah see.
And saying that Ray could easily beat someone, beat a Sith apprentice when she had no saber form training at all. You know, she might have a vague idea.
No certain where Madame was going to land today. But of course a notion where to key a gander.
Do they not usually just follow your irritating orders on where to go?
No. No, we endeavor to keep ourselves free from being codependent.
I think you might be confused.
But,
by the
you know,
definition of
saying that
codependent.
Ray can defeat a Sith apprentice the same way Darth Maul beat Qui-Gon Jinn was ridiculous. And if you want to be technical, the only reason why Maul beat Qui-Gon Jinn was because Qui-Gon was very old. I mean, according to the books, I think Qui-Gon was what? I mean, I think in the book, I mean, Liam Neeson doesn't show it in the movies, but I believe Qui-Gon Jinn in the books was closer to 70 than he was to 60. And if you want to, and Dooku was even older. And the only reason why Dooku wasn't in worse condition was because Dooku had spent more time training, and he kept up his health. Qui-Gon Jinn didn't. And not to mention, in the middle of the battle, Qui-Gon Jinn, the scene where you see the barrier scene and the core scene, where they're in between the barriers, and you watch as Qui-Gon Jinn falls down to his knees and starts meditating. That's a form of force meditation, which helps you regain your strength and helps heal your injury and helps you recover a little bit.
Something to kick him off in order to the call. Tonight, Fred Flag,
Sounds to me
So-
like your legs got tired of your mouth. Codependency can only keep someone around for
So,
long if you are
so
treating
you
them
know, Qui-Gon was not in good shape. He was closer to 70, while Dooku was supposed to be closer to 90.
Lifelong story. There's ain't more sport they could be.
And seeing as that they were both human, you know, both of them were reaching the end of their lifespan. Now, it is true that Force users can live longer than their from their regular species rate, their species lifespan. But it doesn't mean they don't suffer from the effects of the aging process. And both Qui-Gon and Dooku had been suffering from the aging process. I mean, why do you think Dooku fled? That's why Dooku had to flee from Yoda. Yoda was well over at that stage, what, at least 200 years? And yet Yoda could duel like a human in like his 20s or 30s.
Maybe you should just duct tape yourselves together. Now, my couple's therapy rate is 200 G's an hour. So, if we could just get that settled.
It's a smashing idea. Duct tape.
And Yoda could do that because his species lives for so much longer. And that's part of the reason why Dooku had to flee. Continue. What do you mean my loadout's incomplete? Oh. Another passive slot. Rate of fire. Melee damage now benefits from increase. That's actually not bad. That's more useful. So that just means my ability to do that just got a lot nastier. That's good. But... oh, wow. What the heck? Why am I getting... I mean, it'd be nice if the Jacobs didn't have the Ripper thing attached to it, but... it's still pretty useful. And let's go here. Let's go check out this dynamic champion. Maybe he'll drop something good for me. But that's why Dooku had to flee. And as a Force user, you can't replace your body parts with prosthetics. And why that is because that actually causes you to lose not the ability to control the Force, but how well you interact with it. I mean, it was well known with Darth Vader that because in his battle with dear Lord, what? Not Windu. Obi-Wan. Wow, I had a massive brain fart there. But in the battle with Obi-Wan, when he lost most of it, when he lost the rest of his arms and legs and then got burned, Darth Vader's ability to use the Force was severely hampered. So that's actually better. So literally, you know, Vader was never going to be as strong as he could have been if his body hadn't been damaged. And if his body hadn't been damaged, he actually probably at a certain point could have taken over the Empire from Darth Vader. Darth Sidious, my bad. But, you know, that's the point here. Is that so, you know, take it as you will, but the loss on Mustafar cost Darth Vader way more Darth Vader's loss on Mustafar cost him so much more than we actually understand, and you actually don't see that. Damn it. At all. And it's sad because that was actually something that really limited Darth Vader's power, but we don't know that until people who read the book started making shorts. It's like, hey, saying, hey, did you know this? Of course, those Rift champions are gone now. Of course. The harder the rift fight, the better the rewards are. Now the question is do I want to do... seeing as that in my original playthrough, I actually went to Carcadia first. Let's actually do the northern. We'll do. Hey chat, quick question for you. Do you want me to do the War on Mercenary Day side quest or head towards the Shadow of the Mountain? I'll do either, but why don't you guys pick what I do next if you guys feel like letting me know. I will hold off for like a minute or two for you guys to decide. I already did that world ship event, so I guess we'll head back to the launch pad, and I'll drop off my new legendary equipment and stuff. And I'll see if I can withdraw anything to use. I mean, I finally got a class item, which helps. But it seems like there might only be... Let's get rid of that. Alright, now let's go to... Okay. I've got enough torque weapons. I don't feel like having a torque weapon right now. Let's sort by rarity. Wow, that's a lot of legendaries. Maybe by level. Yeah, let's do by level. Because I'm level 20 something. Is there anything here? So I'm level 23 by the looks of it. Children of the Vault. That's not bad. Ah, that's the shotgun I want to use. So that's the first one I got. Thing's wicked. And seeing as that I have a mod that ups the damage for that, and I have... So... that shields. I can't use anything. But I am a couple levels away from getting some of my better, using some equipment that's better. So, do you guys want me to do the side mission or the main mission? If you guys don't want to say, that's fine. Just let me know. Alright. If no one's gonna speak up, then I'll just... is anything here worth... Alright, let's sell all. Alrighty. Then I guess I will just carry on with the shadow. I'll head over and do the shadow of the mountain. And I guess the next... when we come back on next Sunday... We'll start with the ministry side mission. That's a bit of a pain, but we'll go do the starting quest for the northern mountains. But, yeah. So, there was a lot of things going on in the background that we actually weren't shown in the Star Wars movies. And, you know, the thing that sadly put the coffin nail in the Star Wars franchise for a lot of people. I mean, they've had some success with The Mandalorian and the book of Boba Fett. That's it, the book of Boba Fett. And the thing that was actually sad, in the book of Boba Fett, we actually got the Luke Skywalker we wanted to see in the series with Rey. And you know, it's sad that that's the only time we actually get to see the Luke Skywalker we want to see. So, you know, it's, well, what do you do? Well, you can't do a lot, sadly. Because, you know, if I had it my way, you know, if I had my say in what would happen in Star Wars, I would have followed the storyline of the books.
Excellent. Victor maintains an iron grip here, so you won't get his command bolt without help. You'll find the augers at Belton's Boar, in the heart of the mountains. Don't expect the warmest welcome, though. Unlike the Outbounders, the augers
That were written in the after sense.
are an insular and traditionalist people. The
And
Timekeeper gives them some measure of autonomy as long as they keep the Ordinite flowing from their minds. But some among them are willing to fight, particularly the one who goes by Defiant Calder. He's got a fiery streak that the other leaders lack.
get off of me. Ooh, that was a lucky second win.
Bring more friends next time. Pardon the outburst.
Yeesh. What a pain in my butt. Singularity grenade. Spawns a singularity. 200 for the tray. Doesn't explode on contact, but well, at least that's more useful, I suppose. Well, it doesn't explode on command. Let's be more precise about that. Now, is there a platform? Where's the switcher left? Ah, button. But, you know, there were those books that are considered the legacy end of the Star Wars instead of the instead of Disney's new woke direction. To the original series. And, you know, that I would have taken that. And I think that would have worked a lot better, in my opinion.
You will love this part. Jackpot!
And, you know, we would have gotten the Luke Skywalker we wanted. You know, slightly overbearing. We would have seen the twins that Han and Leia had. And I think it would have made a better dynamic. And it would have made a couple of moviegoers a lot more happier. And you actually could have made a prequel film of how Luke and his wife met. And there was a bigger potential to, so, you know, there was more potential and there was way more to play with. And, you know, you also discover, and, you know, there was also the fact that you would have uncovered, that you would have been shown Palpatine's cloning program. And it would have introduced, what is that? And how he even tried to clone Luke with it. And Palpatine had even successfully cloned Luke. The clone was force sensitive, but it was dark side, and Luke and Palpatine had been grooming that clone of Luke. No, the clone was force sensitive. To take over Darth Vader's position. You know, there was a lot of potential in that version of Star Wars. They could have done a lot more with it, and instead and we didn't get that. We got the woke version of it, and, you know, the only good thing that's come out of Disney buying Star Wars, now this is my opinion, folks. The best thing that we got out of it was basically the update to the Mandalorian culture and everything. And, you know, there was also the fact that Ahsoka Tano got her own series, and we actually got to see Anakin come back and finish Ahsoka's training. So there's been a couple of gems in what Disney's done. But is it any measure of the potential that the Legacy series had? No, it doesn't. And it's really disappointing. Now, I'm pretty sure there'll be plenty of Disney activists who will tell me how wrong I am. But look, I've read more than my fair share of books in my lifetime. And I'll be honest with you people, I don't I don't take certain amounts of this stuff lightly. Perfect. Thank you. I needed that. I don't take storycraft lightly here, folks. And I actually hate cheap story, and I hate cheap, crappy stories. Because from my perspective, it's an insult. To the idea of storycraft that this is acceptable. And, you know, I can, granted, I haven't been able to catch up on all of the books I want to read, because I probably have to spend, about $500 on books just to get caught up on my, on everything I want to read, but I actually take storycraft very seriously. And anytime I come across stories that are obviously, some people call them, oh, this is so real, some call it and others say otherwise, And, I'll give you my mainline example. Twilight and 50 Shades of Grey here. I've read maybe the first few chapters of Twilight, but I couldn't get into the book.
You seek inner wisdom. Nothing can stand in your way again.
And, if I compare and contrast 50 Shades of Grey, Twilight to 50 Shades of Grey, if I made that comparison you know, not 50 Shades, the Twilight series is a much better written book, is a better written series, is very literate, you know. And
I see your youth.
What have you done? Order. Dead. On our
and you know, in my mind, there's no comparison.
Excuse Jordan.
Twilight
Even though
is
he's
the
correct,
superior books.
I am
They
the
are
most
the better novel. They are better written. They flow, and the language is much better.
The Crimson Resistance has more than enough to share. Join us in the fight against the Order. The Outbounders have already joined the fight.
Absolutely not! Defiant Calder was exiled for such talk.
And, you know, this is the reason why I say I take storycraft seriously.
Likely dead. Returned to the mountain.
Because
he learned something from the stones.
He and his fellow exiles
But,
were
you know,
attempting
this
to
is
take
the
back their clave
but this
from
is the
Order.
point.
If you feel like dying alongside them, you'll find him in the
If you don't have a good story, then it's, you know, it's,
You were correct.
you know,
The Argos did not.
is that crappy stories turn into crappy literature.
Afraid of their own shadows. And I'd guess your arrival coincided with a minimum of, say, 5 explosions.
And I know there will be some die-hard 50 Shades of people who love it, and, you know, sadly, the only people who really love 50 Shades of Grey are women, because it's basically woman's fantasy corn. Because you have this rich, wealthy businessman come down and basically make your dreams come true. I think it's more fair to say tycoon. And he's so in love with you at first sight, he just has to have you. It's women's fantasy. But, you know, the point is that, you know, this, you know, I'm not saying this book has to have any roots in reality, but a book that excites women more than the story is actually worth is not a story. All it is cheap, is the cheap thrill that a woman reads, and then once she's excited enough, she goes out and finds some dude to sleep with, basically. Or she reaches into the drawer for her super secret special toy. It's not good literature. It's not good literature. All it is fantasy, fantasy, fantasy. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. I mean, if you guys really want an example of where it's balanced, go find the Cheryl and Kenyon series, where where they talk about the Dark Hunters and the Dream Hunters and the Greek gods. You know, it's definitely a woman's book, don't get me wrong, you know, it's but you can read it. It's, oh, what's the word I'm looking for here? You know, it's well written, it flows, and the story makes sense, and the story is conjoined together.
Outlander! You fighting or sleeping? Come!
So, you know, call me cynical, call me this, call me that. I take storycraft very seriously. And every time I see something that could have been better, all it needed was this change, that change, or even a completely different storyline, which normally pisses off a few people. You know, it's just mind-boggling to me how many people choose the thing that excites them instead of enjoying.
They say luck runs through the mountain like rivers. I was near to death at the hands of vile lictors rattlers, and up you burst into the fray like a geyser. Boot! But what does an outlander want with an old exile?
I mean,
I am with the Crimson
go
Resistance.
read a woman's smut book, just as an example here. Just pick one up that's just smut. And just, you know, read how that, and just read how that excites women. You know, the men actually act masculine. They are in control.
There is a relic sacred to my people, trapped within our clave home just beyond. I had hoped to bring it to the Augur Council and earn my clave a return from exile. The lictor's forces ambushed us. We lost many. I may seem spry, but I am not the young septuagenarian I used.
And, you know, I don't say this to be a D-bag. I say this with sincerity.
I will do it. But
Pick up an actual book worth reading. And, you know, could be it could be a study book, it could be a science book. You know, take your pick.
I must stay and attend to my fallen brethren. I've never had the knack for the proper rites, nor known the right words, but they must be returned to the mountain.
look, Anansi, a gruesome warning to those who lose their patterns.
But
The relic is in my old office there, overlooking the staging room. Violators locked the mine down, so you will need to navigate through the shafts to reach it.
Fretch. Actually, seeing everything the way it is right now, I think this is a good cutoff point. Let me move back from this mine, and we'll pick off next. We'll pick off next week with finishing up this mission. And then we'll move into that other side quest. And we'll wrap that up, and then we'll come back to this. But for everybody who tuned in, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Like, subscribe, bang that bell if you like what you see and you like what I do. Oh. And I live stream every Sunday at 5 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and I'll see everybody next week.